Let me make sure that we are live in all the places. What's up, Facebook fam? We are back. It's Actuali Podcast with another episode. Meaning Making 101 is postponed for this week. Mr. DJ is out of town, but as soon as he is back, we will return to our regularly scheduled programming covering John Vervaeke's Awakening from the Meaning Crisis lecture series. We've actually already covered 45 lectures. We only have 5 to go. 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. Yes, that's 5 to go. And it's going to be awesome to finally finish this series. It's been quite the marathon. So, anyways, we're going to jump on into it. This week is Meditations in Poetics. We've had a lot of previous poetry nights under various names. But if you guys like these, something relaxing to listen to while you're cleaning up around the house or driving or even trying to get to sleep at night, perhaps these might be handy. So I hope these inspire you guys in your meditations and help to bring you back to the sense of this present moment as well. So let's jump on in. Here we go. So we're landing on May 27th, 2021 when I wrote this poem. I share these with pictures that go along with them on my Instagram. If you guys would like to follow there, just look up Christopher.Kinley on Instagram. You can see it right there. And here we go. We'll find the beauty in the sadness and know the sweet times better through the bitter. We'll make music for its magic, even in the midst of madness, for how it sustains and lifts us from despair. In every place forgotten, for every one despondent, for all who jump at a touch or close to the harsh word, for all still guarded from childhood wounds. Don't you see? We're all the same miracle, expressing as existence, shining from every face, known by every name, named by every word, yet never explained. And somehow your heart, even wounded, loves on anyway. We turn around and there the sun remains, anchoring us through our journey. We find ourselves held in warm embrace, awakening to a world of limitless beauty. And still, we fall to our primal instincts as the fear of loneliness takes. We're closer than we know, more singular than we can readily remember. And soon enough, we'll know, as the living love that absolves even the harshest of lifetimes takes us home. Dear soul, you may be lonely, but you'll never be alone. Bittersweet sadness. It is the bitterness of life that makes the sweet times sweeter. It's like a universe or a reality requires these interrelating opposites in order to actually exist. Like you can't have temperature without hot and cold. You can't have a sense of joy without a sense of the lack of joy, without frustration and difficulty and hard times in life. So those bitter times make the sweet times sweeter. Helpful to remember. See what we got next. Oh, I like this one. I remember this day. May 28th, 2021. Flowering emergence of unknown origin. Building pathways through the emptiness. Weaving synchronicities of improbabilities, painting for all conscious beings a sense of significance. It's as though it fills the worlds before us with signs and clues of invitations to the ever-long unfoldment of the only holy moment, the forever now, in endless and increasing cascades of coincidences too great, perhaps, at the end of the day, we'll know. Synchronicities are like improbable, super improbable circumstances or coincidences. Better way of saying it. If you look at Carl Jung or Carl Jung, however you prefer to pronounce that, the great psychologist's work on synchronicities, it's really intriguing A synchronicity is like a 1 in a million kind of chance of something happening, but it is imbued with deep meaning. Like you think of someone you haven't talked to in years, an old friend, and next thing you know, they like literally the next moment they call you on the phone, or you see them in the store that you're walking into right after having thought of them. These things happen. Sometimes you can have a premonition in a dream and it actually comes true. I had this happen before, and the dream was photorealistic, as though somebody had recorded an event that was going to happen in a week. And I had the dream, a week or two before it happened, this event, and the dream was photorealistic, like down to the step that I was on leaving my apartment, second stair down from the second landing. Everything was exact as it had been in my dream, and I never believed in psychic kind of stuff before, but after that dream, that really caused me to second guess everything I knew. I'm still not too into belief in the nary fairy. I think that most things can be explained, but there are some things that can't be explained in this universe that are just unbelievable. Synchronicities or coincidences. Like, how did that occur? There must be something more going on here than I know. Let's move on. Let's see what we got here. Ooh, look at that giant shelf cloud. May 30th, 2021. Too great to see with these eyes alone, the awe too painful to ignore, and too terrifying a beauty to absorb, that sees through these eyes and everyone else's, calls forth louder now, and storms all around, and through the light and growth between. And hear how it wonders through these curious minds of ours. Oh, what will we do with tomorrow? And why are we so faultful? And what a blunder it is to miss the miracle, that constant potential that exists in every moment. What else could there be to do but fall in love with this world that is yet growing. This world that is yet growing. We're so hard on ourselves. It's like we think that we should be perfect by now. We should have everything figured out, and that we wouldn't still be learning things as a species or within our individual cultures, societies. Some things are too great to see with our eyes alone. They're beyond what we can take in with our eyes. And the beauty of this world, it's too painful to ignore, as well as everything else that we shouldn't ignore. And there is such beauty sometimes that is overwhelming. I put too terrifying a beauty to absorb, because some things have that to them, like a storm or a tornado. And then I say, that sees through these eyes and everyone else's. And there I'm talking about the great mystery of consciousness, of conscious life that sees and experiences through us. It's like it calls forth. And it even wonders through our minds, what are we going to do with this life? What will we do tomorrow? Why do we have so many faults? All of these thoughts, it's still the consciousness learning to understand itself. And behind all of that is this constant potential that exists in every moment, this infinite potential that seems to exist in every moment. What else can we do but fall in love with this world that is yet growing? Because it's like, why should we expect ourselves to have figured everything out by now? We're barely out of our primate britches, I like to say. Like, we are still upright, walking, talking hominids that are not far past our initial tool-making capacity having come about. We've now invented language and technology that is mind-boggling. It's really amazing what we've done just in the past couple hundred years. Everything has changed so radically. But we are still growing. It's not like we were born at the end of evolution as perfect angels and we should be perfect. We're still figuring it out, and we're doing better than we think. I really do believe that we're not giving ourselves enough credit. Like, we are a beautiful, quite docile compared to our primate cousins species now. We write poems. We appreciate sunsets and flowers, and we buy teddy bears for each other, and we make up jokes and movies and film and TV shows to entertain one another. Like, we love to see each other smile. That's so cool. I love that that is built into us. So I think there's some hope. There is some hope. And we really should give ourselves some credit. We're doing a lot better than we think. Let's move on and see what we got next here. Ooh, okay, we got a little animated clip here of the water down by the creek. This is June 30th, or I'm sorry, June 3rd in 2021 that this poem was written. Oh, and this is just like a short little quip to go along with the picture. These trees got more tweets than Twitter. Some are fighting, some are vibing. Doesn't really matter. They're authentic as it gets, and it gets no better. That's what we're all about here on Actuali Podcast. Realizing our most authentic expressions of self. Because we're all constantly all hiding from this world, aren't we? And you know how open you can be with your very best lifelong friend, how you can be that really extra goofy side of yourself. That is something that every once in a while you see people courageous or heartful enough to share that with the whole world. You got your people like Robin Williams, for instance. We can't be our whole true selves. We're so afraid of getting hurt or talked down about for appearing a certain way. We're so worried about how we appear to other people. But don't you feel most natural when you are just letting go and being your whole self? And I know that's hard to do. I mean, it's like there's these mental blocks that build up inside of us, these habitual locks that clamp down when we go out into public or where we're meeting new people or even people that we've known for a while that are just kind of acquaintances. We hold parts of ourselves back and we save those for the most special parts in our life. But I think that we can widen our expression a little bit, at least, and let more of that natural authenticity come out and not worry so much about what other people think, maybe perhaps care about what they feel. But don't hide your true self. Don't hide that beautiful you that is hiding inside there, that is hidden inside there at present. And these trees this day, they did have more tweets than Twitter because they were chirping up. The birds were just talking up a storm, singing and chattering with one another. Some were fighting for sure, you could tell. Some were just probably singing or communicating or calling out for a mate. But they're authentic. And it gets no better than that. Animals are authentic. A dog is always authentic. All animals are. But us, we hide parts of ourselves. It's a strange thing that occurs with an overactive imagination. Okay, so that's a singing video. If you are interested in my band, American Dharma, if you like rock music, definitely check us out. We are on Spotify and all of the other places you can listen to music. We're on YouTube, so you can subscribe to us on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and all that. Follow American Dharma. It's my band. My co-host DJ is the drummer for our band. He's actually a super talented multi-instrumentalist, and he plays music in other bands as well, such as Invisible Man and what is the other? Oh yeah, and Infusion, of course. I think there's the current 2 ongoing projects that are still doing things here and there. But yeah, check out our music if you guys just happen to like music for any reason. So here's another one. This was written on June 8th, 2021. There's no forgetting you, shining through, leaning over rivers, shading the tops of hills, glittering your reflections and dancing in patterns until you fill the quadrillion worlds. Trees are fascinating to me. And this is just another homage to trees, and I do write a lot about nature. There's no forgetting you, shining through, the sun glittering off their leaves, leaning over rivers, shading the tops of hills, glittering your reflections, dancing in patterns until you fill the quadrillion worlds. What else we got? Interesting. June 25th, 2021. It's all one can do to release from seeking, to fill each moment and be here, just here, where there is no preference. The fan turns and a sense of comforting wind fills the room. Wind chimes upon the shelf are moved to play periodically. They are silent now. The only sounds, wind being made, the creaking of a chair, cloth as the body moves, and distantly, the hum of the refrigerator. A car door closes, a neighbor returning home, and now the sound of someone else revving by to announce they also exist in the world. And why not be thankful for? Why not be grateful for it all? It's another writing meditation. I've just been sitting, meditating, doing my morning sitting in presence routine that I do. And I invite you guys to do the same. It's a great way to clear the head. It's like a vacation from having to think, all of these thoughts that are constantly plaguing us. You can actually take a step back just into your primal state of being, just that sense of this very present moment, and you can watch the thoughts as they appear without having to follow them, without having to invest energy in them. Just notice them, let them go by like clouds in the sky, leaves in the water. They're just phenomena. Just notice them. No need to judge them if it's a good or a bad thought. It's just that the mind thinking to busy itself. You'll notice that the brain can figure things out just fine without that forced kind of thinking that we try and do to solve something. You know how as soon as you stop thinking about it, you're like, well, it'll come to me. And then it comes to you. It's because your brain's working on it in the background. So the brain does that. When we're thinking to ourselves in our minds, like with language, it's more like we're talking to ourselves just to kind of occupy ourselves. And you can notice when the brain is doing that. It'll get on a monologue and get caught up in its trains of thoughts. But you can always just take a step back, and this will happen dozens, hundreds of times every single meditation session, even if you're just sitting there for 10 or 20 minutes. Thoughts will come and go. It's not like you have to stop the thoughts. That's a nice side effect that comes later on, where the thoughts kind of dissipate and you have more space between your thoughts. But the real trick is to notice the thoughts and not to resist them, just to let them come and go and keep returning to the sense of this very moment, just the feeling of now, just as it is, without any interpretation, any of the mind's ongoing monologue. Notice that even as well and enjoy it. It's because it's kind of funny to see how busy the mind can get. And then you get a feel for how your mind works, how it ticks, your habitual kinds of thoughts and things. And as you see them, their power over you just immediately dissipates. You can just look at them with eyes of love, like a caring elder with someone that's trying to just fill the air with speech because they don't know what to do. Because that's exactly what our brains are doing. It's all one can do to release from seeking to fill each moment and to be here, just here, where there is no preference. Just notice the sounds of the room. Notice the feel of where you're sitting, of the clothes against your skin, the temperature of the room, the feeling of your stomach expanding when you breathe in, the feeling of the air, the cool air going into your nose and then the warmer air as you exhale. Just noticing it all, just being aware. And that meditation gives you more space around your thoughts, and it cultivates a sense of peacefulness within because you have more room to respond to whatever's happening to you. You're not just going to automatically react the more you meditate. You really are creating more space within yourself. And it's like a second is so much room to choose how you may respond to anything. And the deeper you go through your meditative practice, the more you'll notice that. Why not be thankful for it all? Why not be grateful for it all? Even, so like I'm sitting there meditating, the car door closes, a neighbor returns home. Now there's the sound of somebody revving by very loudly. just announcing that they all also exist in the world. And why not be thankful? Why not be grateful for it all? Why do I have to resist the dog barking next door or whatever it is that could be interrupting my meditation? Just notice it. Notice the way the mind tries to jump to resistance at any little thing it doesn't like. Notice how your awareness of that has no problems with anything. It notices the feeling of not liking something, and it itself, it has no problem. Your primary awareness has no problems with anything. The mind, it has problems with things, but we're what witnesses the mind, and you will find the more you meditate through the practice of self-inquiry or Zen or Advaita or whatever you prefer, you will find that. So let's move on. Short one. This one's titled In Every Face. This one actually has a title. July 6th, 2021. I see your face passed by, car after car on the side of the road. The things we're all afraid to say, still waiting on the tips of our tongues. And I think we all know secretly that love is the only way out of this. So I saw a homeless vet on the side of the road, begging for change, basically. I saw his face, and I saw how, typically, as always, he was being passed by car after car. And the things that we're all afraid to really say, to be true and honest and good, they're all so often waiting on the tips of our tongues, just at the edge of our lips. Yet I think we all know secretly that love is the only way out of this. Now, love could provide a lot of different answers to how one handles that particular situation. How much money to give, any money, to go around the corner and pick up some food and give that instead. And then also the posture, the orientation, the way in which you speak to that person and how you share whatever you're going to share with them, or not at all. Even if it's just a loving smile and a wave. Whatever it is, love can guide you to a wise response. Because love puts us into the orientation of unconditionality. Real love has no conditions, has no judgments. It is pure consideration. And as such, because it can consider so deeply, it's willing to consider without condition, then it can see very widely. It can experience very widely. So, love can literally widen your breadth and depth of awareness. When you put yourself in somebody else's shoes, you're willing to put yourselves in other people's shoes and see from their perspectives, you have literally just widened your own perspective and the potential points of consideration that one would need to consider if they were looking at anything deeply. So love provides us wisdom to solve highly complex intellectual problems even. We need love in all ways. It is the ultimate posture that we can take in this world. It's our highest capacity as a species. And we think of love as some, like Martin Luther King once said, as some sentimental and weak response. But it's not that emotional bosh that we're talking about. We're talking about that love that reminds us of courage and heartfulness. Talking about the love of Martin Luther King, for instance, or Jesus. Speaking of Martin Luther King, in this case, it's actually Tupac, I'm sorry. Yeah, a wise man once said, it's time for us as a people to start making some changes. Let's change the way we eat, let's change the way we live, and let's change the way we treat each other. And here I'm just sharing my breakfast of champions. Instagram pictures of breakfast. Blueberries and raspberries and blackberries and walnuts and pecans. Okay, here we go. Here's another poem. July 15th, 2021. Speak now while you still can. Think for yourself before it's banned. Show love as the highest, compassion as the wisest, and may we realize together before it's too late what has divided and led us astray. Perhaps some will remember, perhaps a grandmother or child, will be able to say it in a way the multitudes can hear, because I can barely begin to. Yet I see us on the verge of throwing it all away, the good, the bad, the wheat, and the chaff. And what if there is a better play? It does seem like we're in a time where division is being fomented, encouraged, exacerbated by certain powers that be, you could say. It's useful to politicians, to media cartels. It's useful to whole state actors overseas that see us as their enemies to sow division amongst us. And, divide and conquer, right? Divide and rule methodology is regularly portrayed in the political sphere. And I also do believe it's portrayed nowadays in modern warfare, psychological operations, mental manipulation, by turning us against one another so that we are not paying attention to the aristocrats up top, collectively robbing the middle classes to further enrich themselves. The middle and lower classes, we should say. So speak now while you still can. Think for yourself before it's banned, because we all know how easy it is to get banned on social media these days, even if your heart is in the right place and you have done nothing wrong. You might just have the wrong opinion. So let's change that game. July 15th, 2021. The left remembers what the right forgets. The right remembers what the left. Truly, we need each other. When the feeling of dread fills the air, when nothing feels stable and our world feels increasingly on the verge of falling apart, know that these are the same growing pains we have felt all along, and still we have risen to create, to heal, to dance, and to build, and fill the air with our songs. So let us give it love. Let us give it love, for truly, here in the vast, empty space, we are quite alone, each of us grown out of the same earth, lit by the same sun. We are one. Regarding Earth's awakening, it's like Earth is awakening through us. The cosmos is awakening through us as we self-reflective, conscious extensions of Earth. We Earthlings grow out from this planet. We are waking up, and she is waking up through us. And isn't it true? It's like that old Native American saying that the bird needs two wings to fly. The left and the right wings of our world's various political parties need each other. We pick up where each other leave off. It's so important that we have this balance, a healthy balance, and that we don't cater to the extremes of either side, because of course those do exist. But we can't think that they don't exist on our side, that only the right has got extremists. No, they're certainly existent on the left as well. And I think it should be glaringly obvious to most of us these days, if we're willing to be honest with ourselves. Even if it is our preferred side if one leans left, we can admit that parts of the left have gone a little bit loony with things. And the right, of course, can willingly admit that about those that have gone too far to their extreme as well. But there are decent and good people on both sides, and don't let the media fool you into thinking that's not true, that the other side must be monsters and all, should be plastered with this label, the worst things we can think about people that we could throw at them just because we disagree, or just because somebody on the TV told us that this is what reality is. Now the media has become so, it has become so concentrated in its effect, and there is so much propaganda coming out of every screen that we look at all the time. Multi-billion-dollar sophisticated psychological operations are ongoing at all times that are being utilized on both sides of the aisle, that it's no wonder that people are easily turned against each other, and they think that the other side is so evil. But the reality is so different on the ground when you actually talk to people and you realize it's so different than the way that the media has portrayed it, the way that the social media algorithms are portraying it to get clicks, because they're just going to show us the most dramatic stuff and they're going to magnify it and blow it up way out of proportion. But each of us, grown out of the same earth, lit by the same sun, truly, we are one. And note that these are the same growing pains we felt all throughout our history, even when it feels increasingly on the verge of falling apart, when nothing feels stable. We still have the power within us. We've had it all along, to rise, to create, to heal, to dance and build together. So let us give it love. All right. Let's jump on into July 18th, 2021. Bright yellow-green canopy stretches over as water flowing under slips over the ground, slow forging its own mountain path. Where we stand, a breeze speaks through and sings across our old ideas of tomorrows. It's like a calling back and forward too, of and to the most familiar, unnamed and unnameable, not to say we haven't tried, ever available, unattainable, unmistakable breath of life. Space booms silent, and the vast room at once excites and invites the mind to quiet. The green alive and hushed, soft motion grows through us to breathe into that always here, aware, timeless. And what silence is here, even before our buzzed and busy minds comes filled with all the things we once wished we would have tried, that matter not anymore as a new world opens, and it's ours for the making. I think that one needs a little bit of editing, but you get the gist of it. A bright yellow-green canopy stretching over, the water flowing through the forest, carving its own new path. Old path, really, but you know. And it's like a calling back and a calling forward to the most familiar and a calling of the most familiar. This underlying nature of reality, unnamed, unnameable, not to say we haven't tried. We've tried naming the ineffable, the unknowable, the potential divine source, the great mystery, 1,000,000 times over, and no name comes close to fully encapsulating the infinite vastness of that unknowable source. The space booms silent. It's like it's filled with power and vast room for anything in that silence. And it invites our mind to quiet with it. The green aliveness of the world, its hushed soft motions growing through us to breathe into that which is always here, aware and timeless. And what silence is here, even before our buzzed and busy minds comes filled with all the things we once wished we would have tried, all those regrets and apprehensions, mistakes that we've made that are still stuck in our gourd. They don't matter anymore as a new world opens and it's ours for the making. It's all about our stance towards life. What orientation are we taking? Because you can switch that perspective in a moment. And it's something that we'll resist. It's almost like when we're sad or let down or angry, it's almost like we feel justified in that sadness or anger, or almost like we owe it to the event that we just went through to stay sad or angry for a little bit longer. But we really can turn on a song or step outside and get into nature and feel it all just melt away immediately. You know how a song like music can do that? Just immediately change the mood, even when you're having a really down, gray day. Then you put on the right song and it's like, shoop, total switch. We have this capacity, fam. We got this. Let's just do one more poem for the night, and then I'm going to pause here as we are close to 8 o'clock. And I'm going to hang out with my little bro. And my brother is a video game streamer on YouTube under Aspie Let's Play. So anybody out there that loves video games, look up Aspie Rhino, A-S-P as in Paul, Y-R-Y-N-O. And that's N as in Nancy. So Aspie Let's Play or Aspie Rhino should give you his Aspie Let's Play channel. And he streams some pretty cool games on there. And we're going to play a little bit of zombies tonight when I'm done here. It's a weekly tradition that we were doing for a little while that we just haven't had time to do lately. But I love my little bro. And if any of you guys out there are Asperger's or have friends who are Asperger's, totally turn them on to my brother's channel, because that's what Aspie is short for. It's like a nickname that people with Asperger's give themselves. Asperger's is like a somewhat functional level of autism. And my brother is one of the coolest, sweetest people you ever meet. Really handy guy, too. And he's really fun. He's just a natural in front of the camera, and he's really fun on his streams. And I'd love to see his channel grow. So help us out there, guys. Let's go on over to Aspie Let's Play on YouTube, and you can find my brother's stream, and you can even tune in to us tonight. I think we might just be streaming for like an hour or so. We'll see. All right, so there's another singing video. Once again, if you guys want to check out my band's music, you can check that out on, just look up American Dharma on Google. You'll find us on iTunes and Spotify, and of course on YouTube and everywhere else that music is found. Here we go. So we're on to July 27th, 2021. You can almost see the sky moving like a grand, all-involved dance, as one can stop the clouds and in that pause be in atonement, at one-ment, as the moment, and be fully involved with that motion for at least the blink of an eye. Though suffering remains and is no less poignant, perhaps the edge is less cutting now and grabs less at the mind, so that when it grabs again, how greater the pain of the shredding. And how then does there become a consolation so beautiful, too beautiful to understand and incomprehensible to express? What can hold the sense for such depth of understanding? For I cannot. And how could one ever be so worthy, unless all of us are, and I am lost? For so long that kind of love to even imagine, it's been almost too much to take, and it feels the only thing left now. Such a constant, total, merciful love, the heart could never hold it all at once. It must radiate out. It must radiate it out. Every poem these days feels better suited for a time capsule. I write for a future one only dares believe in times like these. We are too incapable wordsmiths. There's no way to name the ineffable. We dance around a thing we can never land upon, even as it holds us and is right here and everything plus, with wells of resources and as many problems to solve, working at spells to jolt the culture. And don't we fail a little better every time we try? What is more suitable than love? Even as we are imperfect, somehow we are left with infinite room to grow and widen our perception. How far can we go? I struggle for the future, barely able to grasp and uphold the present. The constant press of the urgent is upon us, and since we're all flailing for a hold, perhaps we could hold together, collect our capacities, magnify our ingenuity, and create the true hope, the radiance from our own hearts this world so desperately needs. On I pray, eyes overwhelmed by our potential, heart breaking and healing over again for our senseless at this culmination, at this great decision point. With all the capacity, and do we know how worthwhile we truly are? Poems for Unity. This is where I try and speak to the great mystery of this reality that we find ourselves in such a way as perhaps to highlight for a moment the incredible wonder of it all. And also in this very first stanza here, I'm saying you can almost see the sky moving like a grand all-involved dance, just as one can also stop the clouds and in that pause be in atonement or at one mint as the moment and be fully involved with that motion. So what I'm talking about there is, this is a fun little trick too. So sometimes you'll see the clouds moving by in the sky, kind of like this, this kind of rate. They're moving at a discernible speed. Well, you can look at a cloud, pick a cloud, and then feel it freezing and pausing in time and just hold it right there in the sky. And you'll literally feel like time just paused for a moment, and you'll notice that everything seems to stop moving. And in that moment where everything seems paused, indeed, there is a deep sense of this very moment and the potential for us to sense into that experience of one mint, atonement at one mint. You can feel at one with everything and everyone around you beyond the intellectual understanding that, we are one with everything. You can actually experience this, and it's something that's spoken of in all the great religions and wisdom traditions of our past. Not just in Buddhism, it's all throughout yogiism and all throughout, even Christianity, the mystical sides of Christianity and Judaism and Kabbalah. It's there throughout the Native American traditions. It's there in all of the great wisdom traditions. From every culture, there is this talk of oneness. You also hear how God is synonymous with love, whatever we use the word love for in the highest sense, that it's that thing. It's like a creative potential, a creative force. You cannot create truly without love, anything new. So it seems. And though suffering can remain in our lives and be no less poignant, perhaps the edge can be less cutting, and you will notice that the more time you spend in meditation and prayer with this world, with this great mystery, with whatever you term God or Spirit. But then when the mind grabs hold again, how much greater the pain of it. So how then does there become a consolation, like a healing that is so beautiful, too beautiful to understand and incomprehensible to express? Like we can try and touch on that with a song or a poem, but even then we're just scraping the surface, it feels. What can hold the sense of such depth of understanding, like that idea of God being infinitely merciful, for instance, infinitely forgiving? It's so hard to understand how anyone can be worthy of that level of merciful love, unless all of us are worthy. Because throughout my life, that kind of love, the unconditional kind of Jesus love, it's been difficult to even imagine. And then to sense that something like that can actually exist, it's almost too much to take. And it also feels like the only thing left that is truly real to guide us. such a constant, total, merciful love. How can a human heart hold it all at once? And it can't. It must radiate it out. It must pour it out. It's like our heart overflows, and then that creative potential birthed by that love is something that we can now express and share with the world. So you're filled to the brim. You might as well give it out. And then I speak of how the poems that I write these days, they feel better suited for time capsules. Like maybe for a future where this might be more comprehensible. Anyways, this has been a lot of fun. I love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Actuali Podcast. Let me go ahead and switch back to big screen here. If you guys enjoy this podcast, make sure that you are smashing that like button and that subscribe button. Smash them. Helps the podcast reach more people. If you enjoyed this, you can also share a comment. That actually helps the algorithm more than anything. And if you have a poem of your own that you would like to share, please do share that in the comments on this episode. And I will share them next episode. Next time we do a poetry night, you will have your own poems shared to the masses. And look forward to Meaning Making 101 continuing soon as DJ is back in town. And we're going to pick back up on The Awakening from the Meaning Crisis lecture series that we've been covering. That was introduced by John Vervaeke. And as always, share with your friends and fam. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I will see you next time. Peace.